Have you ever thought about the cool, fresh taste of Capri Sun? is that even like their catchphrase? I don't know. For some reason, I'm like remembering it being the catchphrase for that, and I'm pretty sure I'm wrong. But oh well, I've already said it. It's over. Yeah, we're just gonna go with it. Yeah, the cool, refreshing taste of Capri Sun. I've had it before, and I enjoy it. Anyways, hello everybody. This is That Manga Dude, and welcome to the good old-fashioned FVI. After a month break of this wonderful thing that I do on my channel, I had come back with a vengeance for January of 2024. We have 4 amazing manga to talk about this today, which is crazy because it's like I wasn't expecting this many to be in January alone. Like, we already have a lot of amazing releases, but these 4 that I've done specifically are very good, and it's going to be very interesting at the end when I'm talking about them. But yeah, that's going to be it for the intro, so I hope you're interested, and I hope you stick along for the ride. So let's get going with the first FVI of 2024. Let's go! Alright, so if you've never been to an FVI before, this is just a quick little rundown of everything that I'm going to talk about. Basically, depending on the amount of volumes I have, it's always a first volume or a one-shot series that I will be talking about in this thing, and I will basically be going over the story, the characters, and the art, giving my opinions on each of them, kind of giving like a short synopsis for each of the parts, and yeah, just giving you an idea of how I feel about the series, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to give you a full ranking of the volumes that I decided to do a review on, and yeah, kind of see which ones I like more. Obviously, the ranking at the end is definitely not objective. It's more of just like which ones did I like more than the others, which does not necessarily mean that any of them are bad. Just keep that in mind when we get to the end. Anyways, for our first manga of the January 2024 FVI, we have ourselves a fantastic series that originally released in Shogakukan's Big Comic Superior on June 12th of 2020, which what a time to start. Anyways, that is going to be Steel of the Celestial Shadows from Daruma Matsuda. So, to give you some information about this series, we have a translation from Caleb Cook, touch-up art and lettering from Steve Dutro, design from Sean Carrico, and editor is Mike Montessa. So, yeah, let's talk about this cover and spine like I always do. Wow, what an absolutely gorgeous spine. It's so beautiful. Lovely like font color. We have a beautiful red that helps to pop out. We have the really interesting blue character for some reason, and just an absolutely gorgeous rendered character in the background. Super gorgeous. I like how like the yellow and the, I guess like kind of like the lightish blues kind of show up towards this, and we have the really cool sword as well. So overall, a really fantastic looking cover and spine. Okay, coming up, so we have ourselves the characters. I'm going to actually be talking about 2 of them because there are 2 characters that are really important for this. Okay, so our first character is going to be Ryudo Konosuke. So that is our main lead. He's the guy here on the front who is looking worse for wear. But definitely he's down on his luck, had a really rough time in the story at this point, even at the beginning. But he's a very believable character because of the writing. It makes it really easy to sympathize with him. It's just like a lot of things just happen to him or have already happened to him that just sucks, man. It's just really unfortunate. But overall, I'm really excited to see where his character grows because we actually get a lot of character growth even within this specific volume, which I always appreciate for a first volume. And, you know, it doesn't need to be like a complete character change, but it was really nice to see how his character develops already within the first volume. So really excited to see how his character moves on as we keep on through the series. And then the second character, I couldn't find her name anywhere. I like skimmed over the manga once again and checked just in case, but it seems like she's currently unnamed. I think if I'm wrong, oopsie doopsies. We'll figure it out. Anyways, so the woman who is this person on the back, that's what her name is going to be. She's like this mysterious character who kind of shows up at the end of the first chapter, saying like some crazy stuff, which I'll get into while we're talking about the story. But she's a really interesting character. She's very passionate, very competitive as well. Overall, just a really cool, nice character, and I kind of like the mystery that they've already built up with her throughout the story. So overall, she is a very good character and is a great kind of balance to like the depressing the depressing character that is Ryudo. So overall, I like their character dynamic currently. It's pretty good actually across the board. So for characters, this is some good stuff. I really, really appreciate it. Now, going into the story. So the story is pretty complicated in a way, but I'm gonna try to make it as simple as possible. Basically, Ryudo, he is an unlucky swordsman, or as a samurai, as it says on the back. He's been struggling with his profession because he is scared of metals, or he's allegedly scared of metals. I'm not gonna tell you exactly why or any reason, but basically some stuff happens, and he wakes up and he receives a marriage proposal from this woman, and he doesn't know why. He doesn't know her. All he knows for sure is that she showed up in one of his dreams, and when he woke up, she was there. So yeah, definitely some weird stuff going on already, even from the first chapter onwards. I already like where the story is going. They've already built up a lot of mysteries, and I'm really appreciating the supernatural elements that come into it, which you'll just have to read to understand. But I actually really did like this story. I thought the story was really cool. I like how everything is set up. A lot of the characters are already well set up for whatever's going to happen in the second volume. I'm really liking where the characters are going at this point, and I'm kind of interested to see where we're going as well, because it's like, looks like we're going to get into some kind of like demons and other yokai kind of stuff. That's about as much as I'll say without giving away big spoilers, but overall the story was very good. Now, coming into the art. So the art is really lovely. I was looking over it again. I just thought how absolutely gorgeous this like specific series is. I really appreciate like the kind of like the unique mix of character designs that we have. Like not everybody is like super muscular or skinny. Like we have a good mix of like shorter characters, stouter characters, bigger characters, like tall characters, skinny characters. It was pretty great. Like a good mix of like older and younger as well. So I really actually like the character designs a lot, and the character like stuff in general. I really appreciate the art for that kind of stuff. The action's also really cool as well. So overall, I thought it was really gorgeous, and you know, a really beautiful just everything in general. Man, the backgrounds too. There's so much I can talk about the art. The art is really gorgeous in this series. So overall, I would highly suggest picking this up if you're at all into like action stuff, slice of life stuff. If you like Inuyasha, I think you'd be a huge fan of this. This is a really good kind of series like that. That's about as much as I'll say about it. But yeah, overall, a very good first volume. Alright, so our second volume is an interesting one because it came out the same day, but a year earlier than Seal the Celestial Shadows. So that's just already kind of weird. And it's also under the same like company. So this is Shogakukan's Big Comic Original Zakon. Like I said, originally produced June 12th, 2019. And that is Tokyo These Days from Taiyo Matsumoto. So let's talk about who has worked on this. We have translation from Michael Arias. We have touch-up art and lettering from Darren Bennett, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Design is from Adam Grano, and editor is Hope Donovan. So let's talk about this cover and spine. First of all, I like the simplicity of this one. I really appreciate the very rendered out bird on the front and as well as the back. I like the cityscape that we have that's kind of building in the background. And overall, yeah, it's just a nice little release here. I like the simplicity of just like everything about it. It's really funny because as a person who really appreciates art, I have like this kind of like duality to myself where I love the chaotic mess sometimes. I like super busy things, but I also like the simpler stuff too. One of my favorite like pieces of work just in general is Edward Hopper's Nighthawks, which is a very simple piece of art, but it's just fantastic. And not that this necessarily gives the same vibes, but this is like what it gives me, that kind of quiet calm, but also like gives you an idea of what you're going to be getting into. So yeah, overall this is a very good spine and cover. Okay, we have one character to talk about because there are a lot of characters that are in this specific volume, but there's only one that I would say plays a huge role in like the entire series, and that guy's name is Kazuo Shiozawa. So he is a former manga editor who originally owned / started the company that he worked at. He's currently trying to find his way and trying to figure out what he wants to do after retiring, or I guess quitting, not necessarily retiring, but he's just a very introspective character, and his character is just so interesting to watch just because he's like really going through it, trying to like understand himself, trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life overall in general. And I just like his character a lot. He's very blunt. I think that's to a fault in a way, where he'll just say what's on his mind, whether that's nice or mean, and a lot of people are respecting of him in that way. So I think overall he's a very interesting character, and I really like him, especially in the context of this specific series. So going into the story, so we have Shiozawa, like I mentioned, he quits literally at the beginning of the volume. So it's not super like crazy or anything, but he is a famed editor at his company, like I mentioned, but he suddenly quits one day with no warning. Story kind of follows the fallout of that and how the people around him are affected by this quitting, because there are a lot of people who are attached to him. Like there's an editor who's currently working with a manga artist, where the manga artist really liked Shiozawa, but doesn't like the new editor, so she's trying to figure out how like she can connect with this guy or like help him out. And there's also like another mangaka who's like kind of struggling at this point. So yeah, overall, wow, there is so much to talk about with the story. Taiyo Matsumoto is really good at building up like fantastic themes and being able to flesh them out so it doesn't feel, or they don't feel super tacked on. They feel like they actually are worth learning about, worth understanding, trying to see what Taiyo Matsumoto is trying to say throughout this manga. And there's a lot in this one specifically. I think like losing the spark to what you love is a huge one that plays a part in this one. The idea of using your like skills for money versus enjoying what you do. There's like that balance that seems to have been lost with some of the characters. So overall, wow. This was a really good story. I mean, the first volume alone is fantastic. I was completely hooked, getting really emotional at points too. I mean, I think there's like a lot of moments throughout the story, specifically within the first volume, that are just really hard to read, just because like it's something that's hitting a little close to home right now, just in general. So overall, I think Tokyo These Days has a fantastic story, but just know it's going to be a little bit depressing. It's going to be very sobering. It's going to be very introspective, like I mentioned before, not just with the main character, but with all the characters in this specific series in general. So going into the art, okay, so I know Taiyo Matsumoto is very much hit or miss with people. I think a lot of people tend to stray away from his work just because it's very sketchy, not your typical like art. I won't say it's avant-garde per se, but it is very much a contemporary style. Uses a lot of sketch lines and like there's a lot of just work put into it, if that makes sense. What I mean by that is that like there's a lot of like, you could tell there's a lot of motion, a lot of brush strokes that are used. I really appreciate specifically with this volume in general, and with a lot of his series, but the use of like unique ways of using the medium, because he uses like an ink wash to kind of create a shadow effect with some of the stuff, which is really cool. It feels very much like more of like a pencil pen stroke kind of thing, like kind of like a sketch journal kind of feel versus like a clean ink style that you typically see in manga. So I really like it in this specific volume. Some really great backgrounds. Just like overall, it's just a really interesting manga to look at, which is always really fun. And yeah, I think the art and the story play really well together. I think because of like this kind of like sketchy style, we're getting this kind of feel, kind of like a moody, sad kind of feel. And we get a lot of moments throughout like the entire series where the paneling is very quiet. There's not a lot going on. You just get like backgrounds and people just kind of standing, or like you get like an interesting perspective on them. So it's really interesting. I don't know. Like it's really hard to explain this without spoiling anything about this. And even then, I've kind of already said a couple things that happen. But overall, this one you should really just try to go in as with as little as possible. Hopefully, my review wasn't super overbearing or over explaining anything, so definitely give this a shot. I think this is fantastic work, and it's probably going to be in my tops for the year. But yeah, this was a fantastic first volume. Okay, it's time for something a little bit lighter or lighthearted, I would say. So this one was originally released Shueisha's Shonen Jump Plus, so that is the app. It originally released on April 20th, 2022, the good stuff. And yeah, that is going to be Marriage Toxin. So we have story from Jomyaku? I don't actually know how to pronounce that name. And art by Mizuki Yoda. So let's talk about who worked on this really quick. We have ourselves translation from Jan Mitsuko Cash, touch-up art and lettering from Erika Derriquez, I think. Designed by Paul Padurario. Man, I should have tried to pronounce these before doing this, and the editor is Holly Fisher. So let's talk about this cover and spine. This is like the complete opposite of what I was saying in terms of like that busyness of in comparison to Tokyo these days. This is another cover that I do very much enjoy. I really like the bright colors that they use. I like the character designs. The posing is really cool. The paint splatters is also really neat as well. Back cover is okay. It's not my favorite. I kind of wish it actually stuck with the black that they had on the front, but that's fine. And this spine, I like the pink that they use to help pop this out. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty decent cover and spine. Okay, coming into our characters, we have two that I'm going to talk about because, well, there are two that are important to the story specifically and that we're going to be following what it feels like for the entire series. So let's start off with Hikaru Gero. So he is a master assassin who uses poisons as his like main source of killing. That's the name suggests, the toxin thing. So yeah, he's really, really good at it, but he's also extremely awkward and doesn't know how to talk to women per se, or really talk to like anybody outside of the assassin group people that he talks to. Overall, he's just a weird, kind of quirky guy, and I kind of like him for that. I don't know, it's kind of funny to see like a kind of super focused assassin who's kind of strange and just a little out there. But overall, I really like his character. I think he's pretty cool, and I'm actually excited to see where his character goes as we keep on going, just because like I like how he cares about his family as well. I forgot to mention that. But he really, really cares about his sister, and I think that's always really cool. Going into the other character, we have ourselves Mei Kinosaki. So they are a marriage swindler. Goofy, another goofy character, but very smart, cunning, really good at using their words, or got a silver tongue on them. Overall, another interesting character as well, and yeah, definitely is going to be helping Hikaru Gero throughout the story. So, the story. There's a lot I could talk about here, but basically, Gero is like the lead assassin of his home, of his like family. So he's like known as like the top like poison assassin, but there is currently no heir after him, or his sister. So in the current situation, basically they created an ultimatum. Basically, A, Gero finds someone and creates an heir, or B, the sister gets married off to someone and they have an heir. But the sister has already found like the love of her life, and Gero has now made it his mission to find someone so that she doesn't have to go through that. So he teams up with this character, like I mentioned, Mei Kinosaki, and they're gonna try and figure out how he can be better at dating and like kind of just conversation and small talk. Overall, this story is very funny. I wasn't expecting it to be as comedic as it was, but it was definitely very enjoyable. It was a great read from start to finish. I think the comedy is great, and I think the action's also very good, which leads into the art. The art is also very, very good. I think the action scenes are fantastically drawn, and I really, really enjoy like how the comedic scenes are drawn as well. I think it's like biggest letdown for me is just kind of like those quieter moments aren't necessarily the most interesting to look at, but even then, that's just like a minor little quip. It's not even like a bad thing or anything. It's just like, this is not as good as other things I've seen. But if you compare everything to other stuff, then it just like, you'll be sounding like a haterade. So it's not bad at all. I still think Marriage Toxin is very good. If you like yourself an action shonen series akin to Sakamoto Days, I would say check it out. This one's pretty good, and it's a good time. If you want to read it online, you can also do that as well, because it's one of the apps. So yeah, definitely go check it out. All right, coming into our final volume. So this was originally released in Kodansha's Eton magazine on June 7th of 2016, and that is Ai Tanaka's King in Limbo. Let's talk about who worked on this really quick. We have translation from Ajani Oloye, I think is how you pronounce their name. Letterer is E.K. Weaver. Editor is Ben Applegate, and the Kodansha USA Publishing Edition cover design is by Matt Akuganau. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyways, yeah, let's talk about this cover and spine. I love this cover and spine. I like how bold this like title is. I really like the font that they use as well. Obviously, this front cover is gorgeous. I just love like the simplicity of it. And San Francisco hits a little close to home. It's where I'm sort of from in a way. I'm from Northern California, so like seeing San Francisco like painted this way or drawn this way is really nice. So I just really liked it. And of course, the French flaps. Although I don't normally talk about like the little extra accoutrements that you get, I do like the French flaps a lot. Let's talk about our characters. We have two. So we're going to talk about him first. This is Adam Garfield. Adam Garfield, he is the main lead. He was a petty officer in the Navy until an unfortunate bomb accident basically forces him to retire. Yeah, he's overall just a really funny, goofy character. He kind of is very talkative to the point of being almost annoying in a way. But I kind of appreciate him for that. I feel him. I totally understand him. But overall, I really like his character. He's really easy to like as well. Just the way that he's written. And overall, you just got to root for him. I don't know. It just feels like you have to root for him, especially with how it's written. Now, the other character, we have Rune Winter. He's this guy here. He is known as the King in Limbo. So that's where the title comes from. And yeah, he is like the complete opposite of Adam Garfield. He's very skeptical. He's very quiet, extremely standoffish. Kind of mean in a way, mean-spirited, really seems to only care about himself and other people around, like a few other people or a few other things. So overall, he's a much less likable character, but I think it's understanding why he's like that, I think, is what makes him a likable character in that way. So like they portray him as an unlikable character within the series, but as a reader, I think you can tend to like him for a variety of reasons. I think overall he's a really cool character as well, very well written, and I'm excited to see what their dynamic is going to be as we continue throughout this series. So story. There is a lot to tackle in the story, and I'm trying to not spoil super much. But basically, the way the story starts out is that there was a sickness called the sleep that basically affected millions of people around the world, killed off tons of people. And basically what would happen is people would fall asleep and would never wake up. And it was really bad for a long time until 8 years ago, somebody had figured out the cure, and it has supposedly been eradicated. Now, 8 years later, it has come back with a vengeance in a way, but it supposedly should have never come back. So they're trying to figure out what is going on, who brought this back, did somebody bring this back, or is this like just an anomaly? That is what Adam Garfield and Rune Winter are trying to figure out. Overall, this story is very, very good. I was completely sucked into this one as well. Like I said, there was a lot of really, really good manga that released this month, and this is another one. The story is just really, really good. I love me some mystery. If you don't know that, well, now you know. The mystery is great, and I just completely sucked into the story. I thought it was great. Great. I just keep saying great. The story is fantastic. It's beautifully written. It's perfectly paced. Really, really good stuff across the board. Let's talk about the art. The art is also extremely good without spoiling too much. I like the simplicity in the design sometimes. There's a lot of really intense moments. The paneling is fantastic. There's some absolutely gorgeous paneling in here where it helps you to read so fast because you don't even understand, but then you stop and you're like, wow, that's really, really good looking. That's super awesome. A lot of great double spreads as well. Just gorgeous background designs. Character designs are really good as well. Just overall, this was a fantastic read. I'm so happy I checked it out. This thing is so good. And I'm super excited for the next couple of volumes. All right, coming into the last section, we are going to be rating all of the manga. So there is 4 of them: King in Limbo, Marriage Toxin, Tokyo These Days, Steal the Celestial Shadows. This is a very hard ranking, probably the hardest I've had to deal with to date, because there are 2 that are very, 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 very amazing. Probably going to be in my tops, and the other 2 also probably going to be pretty high up there as we continue throughout the year. So first off, I think it's pretty obvious which one is on my bottom, and that is going to be Marriage Toxin. So I think Marriage Toxin is good. I think it's very good, actually, and pretty solid shonen across the board. It just isn't as impactful as the other 3 currently. So Marriage Toxin is going to be number 4. Now, this is where it's going to get hard. I think Steal the Celestial Shadows is going to go 3rd. Just because I like the other 2 are just a little bit closer to what I typically like, my biases for what in general, which I will get more into as we talk about these 2. But yeah, Steal the Celestial Shadows is also fantastic and definitely deserves to be higher if you did not read these 2, at least for me. If I did not read those 2, this would probably be my favorite. Now, this is where it gets crazy because between these 2, genuinely, I don't know which one I like more. Because King of Limbo is a very fantastic mystery series. Tokyo These Days is more of a slice of life series. And overall, they're just both very, very good. But I think I'm going to put Tokyo These Days as my number one, with King Limbo with second. And that's only because I feel like when I was reading Tokyo These Days, there were so many moments where I kind of was just emotionally invested. And not to say that King of Limbo is not emotionally investing. I think Tokyo These Days was just a specific read that I didn't necessarily need, but I guess I wanted at this specific time. So overall, these were all fantastic reads. So there they are. Tokyo These Days is my favorite, with King and Limbo number 2, Steel the Celestial Shadows number 3, and Marriage Toxin number 4. So that is going to be the end of this FVI. What did you think of these manga? Have you read any of these? Let me know in the comments below. Or are you excited to pick up any of these? Also let me know in the comments below. What have you been reading in January of 2024? Let me know in the comments below as well. Yeah, that was gonna be it for this one. So you can like, you can comment, you can subscribe. Those are all amazing things. I really appreciate it when you do all those things. You can also join the memberships as well if you want to get these videos early. You don't have to, but yeah, it'd be cool if you did. Anyways, thanks for watching to this point. I really appreciate all your support. You all are amazing. You make this so much fun to do. I will see you in the next FVI. Bye-bye!